Welcome to a Pro Pet Photog photo review. Thank you to the people who sent in their photos for review. If you want to be in on the next impromptu kind of flash review, you need to be either in the Pro Pet Photog email list or in the private group, both of which you can access from the notes of this YouTube video. So thank you to the people who rallied and on short notice sent us in these photos. So when I do a photo review, either for one of these on YouTube or the private reviews I do in our photo review membership, we have a membership on propetphotog.com, or if you book a one-to-one for a portfolio review, there are two categories that I would talk about. The first one is technicalities, right? So we all want to know, is our composition, our lighting, focus, all of those things. So that's like a basic photo review. But I go a step farther since I teach pro and aspiring pro pet photographers that we are going to look at kind of the saleability. What, in my 10 years of experience, do I think that the clients will like? And we'll do a little bit of tweaks. We're going to look at this within Lightroom. So on my other screen, I have everybody's information. So I require everyone to put a paragraph in there about what they want to know about and anything around this photo. I find that a lot of photo reviews that are done, they don't ask about the background of the images. So I would like to know that. And I've got everyone's answers over here. So let me minimize my face here. All right. So that is not the first one I want to talk about though. Let's go to grid. This guy. This one right here. All right. First off, let's see if I can move my face over to the side. I'll move it around a bit. Okay, this is Suki, sent in by Rachel Gale. Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. So this is very pretty. I love how you have the out of focus bricks in the foreground that come and lead you right into the dog in the background. Let's see if I could find out. Let's see. This was at 640th of a second, f4, ISO 400 with a 135 millimeter lens. And what did you say on here? This photo was taken during a portrait session. I'm working on making saleable images in more urban settings to provide clients with more options. Love that idea. Yes, especially if you have urban and nature right next to each other, right? You can give them a bunch to choose from. What I love about this is the colors, the leading line again, that the dog's paw is in the right spot to hide anything, because clients don't always love that. What is a little bit distracting to me is the bright areas in the background. So when I first open this, or if I see it small, I notice the bright areas before I notice the dog. So I'm just going to go in, and if you have Lightroom, you can do this. Here is the masking tool. And we're going to go to subject. It's going to find your dog here. All right. And then I'll pop up the exposure without blowing out the highlights. A little bit more, right? Really as if there was a flash on this dog. And I tend to compensate with contrast as well to not wash it out too bad. So I would do that. And then you can add another that's the background. And when it selects the background, I'm just going to take out the highlights. So I don't want the highlights off the dog, but more off the background. Let's see. I don't want to make it too dark. Now somehow it's introduced a little bit of yellows, but it was probably sunset a little bit. So we'll do that. And then if we close out of that, I think the dog pops a little bit more. Rachel, this is Rachel's photo. I think the dog pops a little more, maybe a little bit more contrast is needed. Pull in the highlights. So you can mess with that a little bit just to make the dog really, really pop. Obviously, it'd be great if the dog was looking towards us as well. But I like that you don't have too many lines that are intersecting the dog's head. So this straight up and down line in the background pillar isn't going through the dog's face. So that's great. You kind of have a natural frame right here. And I think an owner would absolutely love this. The owner could even be standing over there. So they love it when they remember, oh, Suki was looking at me. I remember that. That was so great. Yeah. And I think this is just gorgeous. You got a nice low angle. I think clients would absolutely love this. This would be great for a wall art or an album. You have a little extra space here. Yeah. The only thing I would say is hopefully you got one of the dog looking straight towards you. But this is super nice, Rachel. I really like this. Yeah, and adding that urban piece is great too. Agreed. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back over to library here. Next up, we're going to look at, this is Ella in the Window by Cheryl Kelly. Thank you, Cheryl. And she says, I just moved to this house and I love the bay window. Hoo, 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 look at the plants outside. I was trying my best to capture Ella's portrait in the bay window. The biggest problem I had was lighting. She was partially backlit. I tried the on-camera flash, but that washed her out. I ended up using a lamp in the room to give her enough light. Was there perhaps a better way to light her? How best to work with subjects that are backlit? Thank you. Okay. Oh, what a cutie patootie. I love Ella here. Let's see your settings. If we do technical pieces, 1/250th of a second, f3.2, ISO 250 at a 40 mil lens. Oops, I meant to do this. Let's see, any other things I need to know? It's a good size picture. Okay, so Cheryl, I can see that if this was with the flash, yeah, you got a little bit of a catch light here. As you probably noticed, when you use a flash straight that's on camera straight at them, it puts the light just directly on them. So I'm kind of surprised you didn't get more of a red eye. Oh, you do have a little bit of a red eye going on here, because it just bounces off the back of their eye. Overall, it looks okay. It looks like you may have done the trick that we did on the last one. But the best way in this situation is if you have a patient animal, is you can bounce it with like a big reflector, a white piece of foam core, all kinds of things can work. You can use a piece of foam core covered in silver, like aluminum foil, and that could bounce the light from that bay window to your reflector and back onto the dog. So that helps. But even better is it to get an off-camera flash. And this could be just a little speed light. And you can get these fairly inexpensive. Of course, you can get the name brand, but you can just get a generic brand for very inexpensive. And if you were to flash that off the ceiling behind you, slightly behind you, let's see if I can make myself bigger. So your dog is in front of you and you're here. Bounce your flash back in the corner here, so there's a little bit of a side light and just enough fill light to fill her little face and get it off axis from the lens so you don't get that flashback off the back of their eye. So that's really the two best ways. You can also flash it off the ceiling. Let's see, if this room had a lot of color on the walls, you got to be careful of that. So when you're bouncing a flash around, that's one thing I would say be careful of. And it does look like overall this picture has a bit of a green cast. Let's see what an auto, well, that's just auto everything. So let's undo that. Let's see, an auto white balance. See, that looks a little bit too blue. So there's something a little bit off, I think, with the color, unless the cushion's blue and the trim is blue, which I'm kind of doubting. So if we just even brought everything up here a little bit. Okay. And I think you can monkey around with the white balance just a little bit. And you can again do this with these layers, these masks in Lightroom. I just love them so much. So you can see that has the background highlighted and we can just bring the whole back. This is extreme. Okay. I'm just showing you to show you that. And that's kind of like way too, when you go to the extremes, you can really tell a difference. But if we were just go slightly bluer, right? Make that window trim white, because I think that's what it's supposed to be. And, you know, mess around with so this just messes around with the exposure of that masked area. And it does pretty good even around dog fur. So play around with those two, try to get that color right. I think this is good overall though. I think a client would be happy with this. And the best way is to just bounce that flash somewhere. All right. And Cheryl, you've got one more here. Ooh, Tessa. So I'm just beginning as a pet photographer and I'm trying to figure out salability of this type of photo. I love this photo I took of Tessa, but would a client like it or is it too niche? You didn't really, Shirley, you don't explain what you mean by too niche. I think you're talking about the almost split lighting. And they like to see clients like to see both their eyes. Okay, so on a technical view of this, I like it too. I love how the whiskers on the left are still lit. So that's really intriguing to me. And you can almost see the tip of the kitty's ear. So I would love to see a little bit more rim line up on the top left of Tessa's ear. And it might be something that you could go black and white and it could be very striking, you know. That could be a really good one to turn black and white whenever we have those really interesting light. But I think you're kind of losing top of her ear here. And a lot of clients do want to see, you know, the other eye. So let's see if we did like, I'm just going to be fast about it. If we did a linear gradient and up the shadows and light on that side. Yeah, then I'm just introducing way too much noise right here. That is just too much. It says, no, make it stop. Okay, all right, okay. I won't do it then. So you could just delete that then. There, did it delete? Yeah. So actually, when I look at this closer, what is the settings on this one, Cheryl? 1670. Ooh, your ISO is 10,000. Okay. So that could be why when I zoom in, and I can turn that off right here, there's a ton of noise. So you can really, really see it right here. That is way too much noise. So you're going to have to do a lot more to this. Now, there is, oh God, there is a function in Lightroom called, let me move my little face over. Denoise, but it takes forever, I think, to run. So you can do a little bit of manual denoise, but I think the only saving grace for this one, now that I'm looking at the noise really close, is turn it black and white, honestly. That lighting style overall, if you had, more data to work with here, right? Not so high of ISO, then maybe just get a little bit more light in here. They like to see the sculpting, right? And the texture that kind of a side light gives, but your noise is super high there, Cheryl. So I like it because we're both artists, but I think if this was the picture you took for a client, I would switch it over to somehow of a monochrome of some kind. Black and white, something like that. And then you can see the color noise here goes away and it's a little bit more forgiving. People understand that. So that's what I would say about that one. I really like the pose. The cropping is a little tight, but otherwise, look at all that. The fur detail, really pretty. The whiskers are really pretty. You can really see the color in her eyes. So you got a lot of that going for you, Cheryl. I hope that helps. Next, we're going to move on to, wait, got to be on the right screen here. All right, this one. Okay, this is from James at Happy Paws, and he says, okay, we got a lot to read here. James says, Dune was new to the shelter. Oh, this is a shelter dog. Okay, Dune was new to the shelter and incredibly shy, so I had to work with him and build up a bit of confidence before I could get the photo. Because it was full midday sun out, we sought open shade on the north side of some trees. This is one of my favorite spots because the grass is completely dead on the other side of these trees, and so the light reflected is very golden even before editing, and I love this effect. The photo was used to promote Dune on social media as well as update his cover photo for the shelter website. Super. I wish I could be home and watch the session live, but I look forward to seeing the video afterwards. Oh, okay. Yeah, this won't be live. Aw, these are really nice words, James. Inspirational. Oh, thank you. You're doing your first 3-page shoots this week? Oh, this is so sweet. He says, I don't think I'd be where I am without the wisdom, emotional support, and experience you share with your audience. Oh my gosh. Aw, James, that's very sweet. I love this photo of Dune. I think, yes, everything is spot on. So you didn't ask about saleability, but I'm going to tell you anyway, after we look at some of the stats here. So this is a huge image. Okay, very good, very good. Let's see. I'm just pressing I to get to the information. ISO 640, not bad. 800th of a second, f2.8 at 55 mil. Now, for anyone watching, 2.8 is very shallow. So we're going to zoom in. So you can see his nose is out of focus, but his eyes are in focus. You have to be very careful at this very shallow depth of field. And the reason James got away with that is he's using a 55 mil. If you do 2.8 with a 70 to 200, zoomed in at 200, you're going to get just the eyes in focus, and this is going to be a really, really out of focus blob of a nose. This is acceptable. This is fine. Even for client work, I would definitely say, hey, client, I was making sure I was focused on Dune's eyes. That's why his nose is a little out of focus, but I don't think it's so out of focus that it's extremely distracting. So if we only zoom in, yeah, let's see, if we zoom in 50%, so I'm not getting just a half of his face a blob out of focus. So that's good. I just wanted to really point that out to anyone watching. The other thing with 2.8 is you get these really nice bokeh in the background. It just kind of blurs out everything back there. That golden light's amazing. The other technical thing that James has mastered here is that when you lay dogs in the grass like this, they will often have this green cast right here. And I don't see that. So just watch for that if you have a dog in the grass, but James did a great job here. I love, love, love the low angle with all the blurry grass in the foreground. That is amazing. He doesn't look stressed. I mean, this kind of dog always has that kind of frowny, wrinkly forehead. I get that. But he looks stress-free. I'm assuming you edited out the leash. So this is really, really pretty. I think clients would love this kind of image. Like, look at those eyes. Look at that. That is beautiful. That's just gorgeous. And the golden color, just like you're saying, James, is awesome too. Let's see, what else have you got? That is, I love open shade. It sounds like you followed me for a while, so you know I also love open shade. It's amazing. And I would never have known this was full day sun. Yeah, this is gorgeous. And you can create this if you don't have open shade, the side of a building. You can take your reflector and use it as a scrim over the animal or the people and the animal. So you can create your own shade. But what I also love about this is it's an even tone all throughout. So what happens a lot of times is we find open shade for the dog, but the background back here is completely blown out because it's midday, right? So James was very careful about how he laid everything out. For client work, now, is this a saleable image? Let me see. I want to make sure. Okay, I love the golden light. I hope this photo worked to get him a new home. That'd be the cherry on the top, wouldn't it? I would definitely use this in your portfolio. James, I hope you're doing that. I try to encourage people, especially if you're a new photographer, it's okay. It is okay to use your shelter photos in your portfolio. So please do, because he's so pretty. Just beautiful. Saleability otherwise, I think he could have used a little bit more room here, but the clone stamp and the magic fill, our friend Phil in Photoshop, you could have easily extended this for canvas or something. So if we're over in develop and say you're selling this and someone says, you know what, I think let's do square. Let's try a square crop. You got it. Look at that. Square looks amazing, right? And you just have to extend the edges for canvas or something, but I think that looks awesome. 8 by 10, you can do horizontal or vertical. I would probably do horizontal, but then you kind of lose some of the goldenness, right? So I think clients would love, this would work in someone's home, in any place, or their album, in any of the like major crops. So I think that's awesome. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, James. This is gorgeous, gorgeous work. All right. Before we move on to the last few, I think I mentioned this at the top of the show. Let me make myself bigger. that if you like this kind of photo review and you love to have this on a regular basis, there is the Pro Pet Photog photo review membership. And you know, I have my community center where we talk about business a lot, but if you're not quite ready for that, or you want to combine it with this, you can get just the photo review membership. Every month we have the theme, and I do just like this, but it's in a private group, and you send in 3 of your images. It also, if you want an entire portfolio review, you can book that with my one-to-one calls. So that's over on Pro Pet Photog. All right, let's get back to the cute pictures. All right, so far, thank you, Rachel, Cheryl, and James. Very good, very good. Love it so much. Okay, we got to get back to library and next image. Oh, look at this cutie. This is Mercedes, sent in by Melissa. Melissa says this was a free shoot I did for a family member of her cat, both for me for portfolio building, but also as a gift as her cat is older and battling cancer. Oh, baby. The hardest part for me is learning lighting and flash photography with the backdrop, as I'm newer to that technically. I really like the bit of dark moodiness of this image, and it was my personal favorite from the collection. For me, the hardest thing is just having the confidence to actually sit down, finish the details of my business, and know that my images are worth charging for. Melissa, this is beautiful. I would not have known that you were new to this. I am assuming at this point that the kitty is looking out a window right here, kind of based on oh no, you have a little flash here, and it looks like maybe, is this all studio light? It kind of looks like he's looking out a window. So technical things is, I love this. And let's see, we're at F4. So you have the nose and the eyes in focus, and then near eye. So that was perfect. You don't want to focus on the back eye, right? The little whiskers, it's okay if the ears go into a little bit of out of focus area. That's great. I think the cropping's a little too tight. People love their kitty whiskers, and they're cut off right here. So I'd just be really careful of that. Although this still is a sellable image as really like a really nice tight headshot. I love that a lot. You could have just given a tiny bit more room, but I think just the soulful look in Mercedes' eyes and the coloring. Now, the one thing I thought at first, and maybe I'm just seeing things, is I almost thought that there was too much. There was like a magenta bit in there. So I want to back that off just a little. I would suspect she's more towards orange and gray like this instead of this. Can you see that there was just a tiny bit of magenta in there? So I would back that off a little. I like the dark moody. This is a little different dark moody than we saw earlier with Tessa the kitty, because both, there is enough light on the face, but you could see the dark in the background. So I think the background works beautifully. If we were to raise the exposure overall, that works too. You can again do that masking and darken the background, lighten the kitty. If Melissa, if you haven't started selling yet, one thing you need to do is pick a photo lab, a print lab, and send in pictures to be printed just to make sure, because sometimes on our computer screen, they look just the right exposure, but when you get them back from the printer, they're dark. So I just want to make sure that this picture at this exposure looks fine for your printer that you choose. And I can tell here, let me turn on these again. Oh, did I turn that one off? Oops. You can kind of see when we're going to go way out of here. So any of these red spots are overexposed. And if we went way down, you can see these are all on the dark side. So you can experiment too with saying, okay, if I want to up the exposure a little and still have the moody look, can I give it just a little bit more light and just see, like I'm starting her little nose area. What's that called? I forgot. Words is getting a little bit, you saw a little bit of the blinky, see the red? Yeah. So I'd be careful with that. Pull down the highlights. So I would say experiment a little with brightening it a little bit and the color, but that's really it. And backing off when you take the picture. This is definitely a saleable image, Melissa. And I know you have one more here. So we're going to look at Another picture of Mercedes right here. Okay, okay. I bet your friend is super happy with this. I love just the plain background, and she's sitting on some kind of a cloth fabric. Very nice. Looks like similar settings, 1/250th of a second, f4, ISO 250. All right, at 74 mil. And you can tell it's 74 mil because we've got this drop off here back. Cats aren't big, right? Cats aren't big, so we're going to expect that back here. It's a little bit mottled in the background, which I like. I think that gives it some texture. And see how her whiskers just go on forever? I love that, and I bet the owner does too. And that dark lighting really shows that off in the dark background. So again, let's see. I want to zoom her in more. Okay, this has been cropped in, looks like. Let's see if we do this. Yeah, a little bit. Oh, I was cropping in for a reason. Oh, I was going to see the highlights in her eyes. Yeah. So are you using an umbrella and a softbox or like a window? But I can see here too, her nose is just a teeny bit out of focus, but not bad. Not bad at all. Love her ears. She is kind of looking off to that one side again. For an owner, it would be fantastic if she was looking towards the camera for at least one picture. Her little toes are together. You can see her tail out. She looks fairly comfortable. I love her little mouth, and the color in her eyes is gorgeous. I want to see if I'm noticing the same thing that I did in the last one. That is there a little bit of magenta in there? I don't know. This one, I don't notice it as much, honestly, Melissa. Let's see if we pulled that down. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, just a tiny bit. Like maybe no one would even notice. And it looks like she's a dilute calico, so I'm not going to mess with the contrast here too much. But these are absolutely gorgeous. You can sell this all day long. This would be a beautiful 16 by 20 if you had variety in the shoot, right? So you had some other photos of the kitty. This is gorgeous, Melissa. Let's see. I want to make sure that I read all your notes because this one, oh, it was for your sister. You think you should have cropped this one a little bit as well, as I wish I got the rest of her tail in the shoot. Yeah, I saw that. But it's out of focus, so it's okay. Because otherwise you're going to end up with all of this black side off to the left. So it's totally fine. Had a hard time getting her kitty to look in the other direction. Could be due to the arthritis or neck. Yeah. So I didn't want to force her into any other poses as a result, but there were a lot where she was looking over her right shoulder, and I went with that as she went from sitting, standing, etc. Okay. So in that case, I'm glad I remember to read this, Melissa. In that case, what you need to do is move yourself around. And maybe you didn't have as much leeway because the backdrop. But if she's only able to look one direction, you move yourself. Or you can like carefully move the table she's on or the little blanket, kind of pivot her slowly or move yourself around. And I do that a lot for the animals who just, they're looking one way or the other for whatever reason. I move myself. I'm out a lot of like public places and the dogs are like looking all over. And if there's something they're really got their eye on, I just go with it. And sometimes I use that to my advantage. So if it's a dog on a sidewalk and there's someone on a skateboard over there and the dog's looking, then I'll just move until the skateboarder thinks, So it could be whatever she's looking at can move or you move. So yeah, I totally get that. This is a beautiful, gorgeous gift that you gave your sister. I don't think you needed to crop in, honestly, but let's, like if you had zoomed out, sorry, because I think it's okay. Her tail is so out of focus, it doesn't matter. Now, some people love their cat's tail and they will tell me that and they'll say, oh, I really wanted her tail in there. So I make sure that I get them. But like we did with the pup earlier, you could crop this in as a square kind of picture and it would still be okay. I'm cropping kind of tight here, but that would still be beautiful and it would look intentional. Like we didn't need that tail after all. Almost like it was tucked behind her because cats do that a lot. If your sister had really liked to see the tail, then you would have had to be at a higher f-stop. But this is really, really pretty. And, I would definitely look into printing this and giving it to your sister as, double duty. You can give it to her and you can get a test print from the lab. That's right. Okay. Mercedes, I think you're doing good. We all do doubt ourselves when it comes to the business side. I know there's a lot to set up. I appreciate that. I understand that. But I think this part, the craft part, you've got it. This is not an easy thing to subject to photograph and location to photograph. So you've already pretty much got that. Do a couple of the free shoots to build your portfolio, but really work on the back end and do like the basics to open the doors. And basically it's, let me show my face again. The idea is when you say, okay, if someone was to see this picture online tomorrow and go, oh my gosh, I want a picture of my cat, and they call you, what's your first thing you're thinking? Like, oh, I don't know how much to charge, or I don't know how to take payment, or, if there's all those things that you'd be thinking at that moment, just do that first, right? So if this is something you want to do, you have the time for, the capacity, all of that, then get the basics down and you can build those out as you go. So not every single I has to be dotted and T has to be crossed. You can take it minimal, use a spreadsheet as your client tracking and fulfillment. Some people even use Lightroom to show the client the images, right? So doing things breeds confidence. So the more you do it, the more confident you'll get. So you got this. You got this, Melissa. Okay. Who do we have next? Okay, Rob has the next 4. All right. Rob is a member of the community center. Boop, boop, shout out, Rob. So it looks like Rob did pets and people sessions. So we've got 4 here. Rob, this is portrait of a girl with her dog, and the challenge you had was the entire outdoor portion of the photo shoot was during the golden hour. So I was working against time to get the shots wanted as I'm new at pet photography. The dog is hyper and doesn't listen well, so I tried to do the shots suitable for that type of dog. What you'd like to know more of is posing, editing, and composition. All right. Okay, so Rob, first of all, you might need to calibrate your monitor because she's extremely magenta. So we're going to get into here and we're going to go to white balance and just see what auto does. Okay, that warms it up a lot. I think she's still way too pink, so we're going to pull her back. So you got a lot of blue, a lot of pink, a lot of saturation. So that's already looking better to me. This is a low quality image that has been sent to me. Well, it's 3486 by 4358. There's just something that seems a little too processed. Maybe you did, I think you did some sharpening. There was extra sharpening on here, and I can tell you why, because you're at f1.2. ISO 160, depending on your camera, of course, Rob, it is good, and that's like the old school way that we always thought, like, we can't have it over 200 ISO, but you can. Like, you could have popped this up to 600 or 800 ISO and your f stop to f5.6, 7, somewhere in there, and gotten both of them in focus. So you probably noticed that the pup was in focus and she wasn't, something like that. So it kind of makes it look over processed. So there's that. I think having the girl hold the dog is perfect. I love this look a ton. The dog looks super relaxed. I'm going to turn these little things off so we don't care about that right now. The dog looks really relaxed. There isn't any light really in his eyes. So you would need to dodge that, in the dodge and burn. She looks good. Maybe do that to her eyes a little bit too, the girl. But this is a very cute pose. What I would do here, though, is I would crop it in, and I often start at 8x10. Oh, you've already at that. So there we go. I think this is going to be a lot more. If you can even pull it in more. Get it just about her waist. You get the little bit of the dog full body just inside the frame. That is a lot better. Dog is smack in the middle along with the girl. You've got this line here. This is looking much better. The background's out of focus, which is perfect. Yeah, I think watch your colors, watch your aperture, because it's way too shallow. And I know what it's like when it's that golden hour, right? Like, we gotta hurry up. But just especially when you're doing these, come a half hour before golden hour. Give yourself time, because then you can scout. You can say you're taking test shots. I do that a lot. These are just test shots, and you'd be surprised how much we get out of a test shoot time. I'm just setting my settings. I'm looking for the light in the background. Don't mind me. Like this one, the line of the grass is right through her head, so I would have gotten a little bit lower to get the trees, or a little bit higher to get all grass. So this cutting through her head is a little bit distracting, but it's not a deal breaker for me, Rob, honestly. So go a little bit early so you don't feel too rushed with the light conditions. That's probably the best way to go about that. All right, what is your next one? Let's take a look. Whoop, whoop. Oh, okay. So same girl, but this time with her gerbil. I had to look at your notes. Okay, girl with her gerbil. The challenge was the size of the pet. Yup. To be included in the portrait, you need help with, again, the posing, editing, and composition. All right. So gerbils are tiny. What are you going to do? Right? So again, okay. So first of all, Rob, again, somehow your color is off. Yeah, there's way too much yellow and orange in here. So let's see what auto does. I don't love that. As shots. So let's pull back the yellow. And honestly, I can go into color mixing and, pull back the yellow there. There's a lot of ways to go about this. That's probably better. Yeah. Okay. That's better. So we fixed the color. And with a small pet, all this down here you don't need. So you can crop this way in. They're not expecting you to make the pet larger than life. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Now the pet is front and center. That's awesome. And I would say you could probably, Rob, get away with even closer. Let's try this with our 8:10 ratio. You could probably get it even closer. So that's not too bad. And it makes more sense with the top of her head cut off. And it gets rid of this red. So when you're in people's homes, rearrange things. It's okay. Just tell them, I always forget to tell them this, but when I go in, I'll say, oh, I forgot to tell you. I always rearrange a little bit. Is that okay? Obviously, make sure that wood floors aren't scratched, stuff like that, and fragile things are handled carefully. But I always rearrange stuff, almost always. So whatever this red thing is back here, it can go. So that's just like a blanket or something. I don't know what that is. Okay, let's, A will unlock that. So this thing over here, whatever that is, let's see. I don't know what that is. It could be another couch. It could be a blanket. I'm not sure. It needs to go. So when you're there, you can just move it. They're usually totally fine with that. And I probably would have done that with this pillow too, because it's competing with her shirt. So as far as posing, I really like this. Here's another issue. Okay, you did F8 this time, which got both of them in focus, and you can tell this is so much better. Do the little eyelash pieces, but ISO 6400, you're pushing it, but you managed to do it. So good on you for making a high ISO work for you. As far as posing, so these little ones, what I love to do sometimes is a variety of different things. So one thing you could have done is had her holding the gerbil way out in front of her. So she's going to be a little out of focus, but have her smile in the background and have the gerbil in focus, right? Gerbil on her shoulder, but their things are real fast. So I'd be super careful with that. And maybe like the gerbil next to her right there. What happens with these little ones is our hands are so big compared to the gerbil. So I applaud you for taking on this kind of a challenge with a little bitty gerbil. But this is so cute. If she would have laid the gerbil out a little bit more on her palm, if she can keep it from running away, same idea right here to right here. And it is kind of right next to her chin, isn't it, Rob? Yeah. So it's really hard. It's really hard to pose these little bitty ones. And I think you did a good job. Yeah. All right, Rob, we have 2 more. We're flying through these, everybody. Okay. What's our next one? Oh, okay. So Rob says, girl and her dog, right? Oh, this is the same dog, right? They wanted pictures of the girl and her dog. Praying. I thought you said playing. Must be one of the dog's little tricks. Challenge was to get that requested image and posing, editing, composition again. All right. So first of all, you probably notice this is completely out of focus, completely. But we're going to ignore that for a second. I think the color's off a little bit too. Let's pretend that this was in focus. She is a little too much cut off, and so is the dog's feet. So let's see if we can make that make sense for a second. And again, that yellow is just overbearing in my mind. I don't know if that's helping at all. Okay, it could be the color of their walls, honestly. So if we did this on purpose, right? If we're going to cut out that red carpet down there, the tree skirt, maybe this could have worked, excuse me, but it's way too tight on her face here, okay? But the dog is adorbs. Now, what you want to do when you are taking these pictures is intentionally crop. So you need to give more breathing room to her face. And this dog needs the rest of its legs. So either cut them off right there, you know, kind of the halfway, the waist mark, if you will, or include all of the feet. The thing is, like, this is good sized pictures, right? Let me see. I'm trying to see what size picture this is. Yeah, oh my gosh, these are big, big pictures. So you have a lot of room that you could have zoomed out, and then if they wanted you to crop it in, you could. So always take them with this big a camera pixels. Always take the picture a little bit bigger because you can crop it in. With unpredictable subjects like dogs, you need to do that. And then your f-stop was fine. And you probably had some trouble with the 1/60th of a second because the dog is moving, like it has to stand up and do the whole thing. So you needed to higher shutter speed, but you probably didn't want to push your ISO anymore. So you need a flash in those situations, like we talked about on the other pet, some kind of a bounce flash. But overall, this could have worked out, but the focus is not there at all. So I think it'd be worth another try, though, if you ever get a chance to photograph the dog again, and maybe not do that right in front of the Christmas tree. All this back here is pretty distracting, but really cute idea. You almost got it, Rob. Ah, all right. Okay, one more. All right, this is the girl and the mom and the dog. Get the requested shot. It was Christmas, so include that time frame. Oh, okay. So you're probably intentionally doing that. Posing, editing, composition. Okay. Got it. I love the expressions on everyone's face here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to press R for crop. But they're a little too off center. So you need to get rid of some of this on the side, which, you know, big enough picture. We can do it. Same settings as the last one, almost f5.6. Okay. Looks like maybe you were using a flash. Okay. Let's zoom in a bit here. It's a little soft. So you might want to do a focus test on your camera and lenses, Rob, now that I'm kind of thinking about this. Because this is a good amount of pixels. I don't know which camera this is. XF, that's a 35 millimeter. Yeah, I'm not sure. It could just been the ISO, but they're a little out of focus. I'm struggling to find a focus point at all, honestly, and it could just be due to noise. I mean, it could just be that. And you did get the flash in Puppy's eyes here, so you want to take that off axis again, which it looks like you tried to do with the based on the shadow here. So really what you need to do is pull the light up above them a little so her shadow falls behind her and it doesn't bounce off the dog's eyes. And I think this is again too yellow, and it must be their wall. It must be their wall, because when I zoom in, like their skin tone looks okay. There, just pull down the yellow a smidge. Dog's tummy, dog's looking okay. I love the cuddling in. All their faces are nice and close, so you could maybe even get a little bit closer. You're getting off of print sizes at that point, though, since you'd be printing these most likely. But you can maybe even go into a square. I don't know. I'm just playing now, Rob. And here's one more piece of advice. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's super cute. Kind of cuts out her extra tummy pieces. And see how you've got the highlights from the flash right here on mom's forehead and nose and lips. I can see where the flash is coming from. So you need to just move it slightly. This is great connection. Awesome connection. Another idea, oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to go R again, is this couch. What you could have done is the daughter, let me make that go away. The daughter could have been sitting on the couch and you're over here. Okay, so let me make myself a little bigger. So here's the tree, here's the couch, right? So have one person sitting on the arm of the couch and you're pivoted 90 degrees. So the tree is behind the couch arm. So mom is sitting on the couch, or daughter, whoever, let's switch that. So mom is sitting on the arm of the couch with her feet this way, daughter sitting on the couch this way, and puppy's sitting on them. So they're making this triangle, and that couch is really nice and pretty. And then the tree is behind them. At any point of the couch, you could have done that and have the tree a little bit out of focus. So that could have been another posing idea. Yeah. Okay, let's go back over there and wrap all this up. Oh my gosh, these are great, everybody. I'm really loving that you all sent me in work. Oh gosh, let me go back out. What I wanted to do is press N. There we go. Now we can see everybody's. We'll make this side go away, maybe. Oh, it's just off screen. There, it's right there. Okay. This is awesome. This is a great representation of your work and where you're at. I really appreciate you sending in all of these amazing images. Look at y'all go. Yay. This is awesome. It takes some bravery to send in a picture for review. I try not to be harsh, but I think they all have amazing qualities. Your clients would be so happy with these. And art is subjective. So if you disagree with something I said, awesome. Just do it your way and you will find your own flow and the clients that love that. And this is just so exciting. So I really appreciate y'all coming through at the last minute to help me make this video for YouTube and all the people out there. Love seeing all of you. Rachel, Cheryl, James, Melissa, and Rob. Big shout out. Big thank you. Again, if this is something you want on a regular basis, check out propetphotog.com and you can join the photo review membership. If you want to dive deeper into the business aspect, there is the community center. We have 2 monthly meetings there with classes and coaching sessions, or you can combine those and do both of them if you really want to and learn everything all at once. Being in a membership in a community of any kind, whether it's with me in your local area, it just really accelerates everything so much quicker. Having that kind of trusted advisory board, I just highly recommend it. Okay, thanks everyone. We'll see you next week. And as always, I wish you many woofs, purrs, and TREATSs. Okay, bye.